Welcome back to channel, guys, or welcome to channel if this is your first time. Make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the videos. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Marvel Avengers game. Now, recently in London, it was there to play on display for a full weekend. We have a massive expo there, but unluckily for me, I was in Mexico on holiday, so I couldn't check out the Marvel Avengers video game. But everyone's first opinion for this game is very interesting. So, as we know, Spider-Man PS4 was freaking insane. But for me, ever since they revealed the big main protagonist is Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel, I think she's an awesome character, but I just didn't see this coming. Although we did call it that Miss Marvel was in the first trailer, we did get it right along with other people. There doesn't seem to be, you know, the God of War hype, the Spider-Man PS4 hype. So guys, let me know, do you even care for Marvel Avengers video games? Because for me, it kind of looks like Destiny, Overwatch. It looks pretty generic. I don't know. So guys, let me know down below. Are you as hyped for the Marvel Avengers game coming out on PS4 with some exclusive content, and it's also coming out on the Xbox One? Are you more hyped for Marvel Avengers than you are for Spider-Man PS5? The only reason I say Spider-Man PS5 is because we now know it is pretty much confirmed the PS5 is coming out next year. There's multiple upon multiple leaks of information about the PS5, about the next Xbox. Now, I don't normally do this, but I want to give a shout out to a channel called Dealer Gaming on YouTube. Absolute fire content. The guy puts a lot of work into his edits. His videos are blown up. He's getting very high views. But if you want to know more about the PS5 and the new Xbox Scarlet, I believe it's called, make sure to check out Dealer Gaming. I will put the link down below and let him know your boy Warstu sent you over. So let's get into this video. If you are new to the channel, like I said, guys, make sure to subscribe at the 100,000 subscriber mark. I will be giving away a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X or a Switch with whichever game you want. But we are 25,000 plus subscribers away, so it could end up being the next gen console. So let's get into this video. So there is a lot of new footage, a lot of new imagery, a lot of new information. The game developers have even been talking again about, is there going to be some correlation towards Spider-Man PS4 crossover and over with the Marvel Avengers game? Now, before we get into all this information, I personally do not feel this can happen. Why? Because yes, Sony does have some kind of exclusive, but the game isn't exclusive. It's multi-platform, so I do not believe it's going to be Spider-Man exclusive, or at least the variation of Spider-Man that we got in the Spider-Man PS4 game, which is ironically one of the greatest video games, at least for the comic book sense, ever. So let me know down below, guys. Are you really hyped for Marvel Avengers? My hype train has dialed down, but as I am a massive fan of comic book based video games, I'm nearly at the end of Batman Arkham. I will be continuing to cover the Marvel Avengers game. I'm currently haven't even finished the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Switch. I've just got to the bit where you're fighting all the Black Order. I'm up to the Proxima Midnight bit where you've got to get the Infinity Stones back. So that game is fire. So let's get into the video. So I've not done a Marvel Avengers video game for such a long time, but there's so much to talk about, so many cool characters. Let's get into this video. So, if you're to compare Spider-Man PS4, it's pretty much open world. You can literally do anything. But all the information that we've got from the Marvel Avengers video game coming out next year is it seems to be region-based, that you're kind of locked into a certain section for a certain amount of time, which isn't really very good in the prerequisite and the kind of the thinking that everyone had when they first announced it. Everyone was hyped, like, oh my god, there's going to be an open platform, like an open world Marvel Avengers game. Now, we might be getting that online, but the campaign mode does not seem to be given that vibe off. So realistically, I'm not really in the gaming community in the sense of YouTube, but I am when it comes to Marvel DC video games. But there doesn't really seem to be much hype train. Now they've released a bunch of footage and a bunch of trailer, and with the imminent, obviously, the next Batman Arkham game is going to be coming. It's probably going to be announced at the Gaming Award next month in December, and obviously Spider-Man PS5. We know Spider-Man PS5 is coming out next year. Maybe, that's a question mark. It's got to be one of the launch titles. Don't quote me. But that's got to be worrying for Marvel Avengers because that is a direct competition. Batman Arkham, the next one, literally done from what sources are saying. Spider-Man PS5, they've got to be working on that at least a few years. And then you've got Marvel Avengers, which is supposed to be the flagship game. Which, don't get me wrong, guys, it looks very good, very customization. You're going to be able to get lots of different skins, lots of different weapons, lots of different combat skills for every freaking character. But what I want to go over first is how there is possibly a connection between Spider-Man PS4 and the villain for this game, and then also go over what the game makers said about the potential crossover with both games. So careful for spoilers. In Spider-Man PS4, essentially the villain is Dr. Octavius, the overall villain, and eventually he is funded by AIM, which can stand for a lot of things, but it generally stands for Advanced Idea Mechanics or Avengers Idea Mechanics or a lot of other things. But that has ties to what is going on, and there is a scene in the actual Spider-Man PS4 video game where there's AIM documentation written down, but I couldn't find it for this video. But in the trailer I'm going to overlay at some point in this video, you will see that AIM is 100% confirmed to be in this game, and that is why we have Taskmaster. But in this video game, you're not going to get anyone like Thanos, etc. But what I believe is the villain, and what a lot of other people is saying is the villain, is a character that is actually in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which is known as MODOK. Now, MODOK would be a badass character in the MCU. He would be a badass character in this video game. The video game creators are not letting you know who the overall villain is, but we know Taskmaster's in it. He's in the first trailer, the A-Day trailer. So essentially this video game is about AIM setting up the Avengers, and then Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, will essentially reassemble the Avengers and essentially get the Avengers back. So MODOK stands for Mental Organism Designed Only for Killing. He has a plethora of psychic powers, which he used to take control of AIM. So there's no actual concrete evidence that MODOK is the overall arch nemesis or the villain for this video game. But there's a lot of evidence to suggest that because AIM is active in Spider-Man PS4 universe, that there could be some connection or some tie over with the Marvel Avengers game. The only problem is that it's a multi-platform game, and Spider-Man PS4 is exclusive to the PS4. Now, we know there is going to be some information, some exclusive, but the guys over in Insomniac Games said this: speaking of the famous character, what can we expect with Spider-Man and this Marvel Avengers game? Now, they had this to say: the Insomniac Games Spider-Man is a great game. I'm very happy that as superhero games are starting to have a better quality of narration. We feel like we're starting to get into an era where superhero AAA games have better stuff, not just great action sequences. As a result, we are often asked the question, is it a shared world? Do you see that as Marvel gaming world? I love these questions because if it's not the kind of tasks that I'm working on as a fan and a developer, it's an honor to talk about it. The idea we can contribute to Marvel's world by adding characters or writing stories is incredible. So, does he really confirm anything or not confirm anything? Well, I hate to say this, he doesn't really confirm that there is a connection or there isn't a connection. So we are still confused because he doesn't necessarily say that. But the story goes on to say, so you're not going against the idea of a collab with Insomniac Games, which is now owned by Sony PlayStation. These things are very difficult because each studio has its own way of working. Now, I presume this means its own way of programming, own structure, and stuff behind the video game. But it is certainly that we share a common identity with the image of Marvel. And I would like to think in a hypothetical world, it would be really cool, but it's rarely feasible. So what they're saying is, cool story, bro. I'd love to collab with them, but it's going to be very hard to play off the fact if this is going to happen. So we don't know if there is going to be any collab between the two, but no one seems to know what this exclusive Sony PlayStation part of this video game is. And also, this went on to say, since AIM, who we've previously just spoke about, is present, can we deduce that MODOK is in his corner? AIM is here. We've shown a domination too. And there's sure to be other villains in this video game, but we're not showing others yet to keep some surprises, which is very good because too many times a video game gives away too much of the main narrative story. Now, there's been a bit of the backlash to Miss Marvel being the main overall villain, but I just find it a bit suspicious that at Disney 23 back in LA, Miss Marvel was confirmed to have her own TV show and she's the protagonist for a major video game. Right? No one really knows who she is unless you played the video games or you're an Inhumans fan or you've watched the cartoon which has her in. She's fairly new. I think she's like 6-7 years new into the kind of Marvel universe in the comics. So she's not really an old character. She's fairly new. No one really knows her. So I think it's a massive, bold movement to make Miss Marvel the main character who's going to reform the Avengers. But it is interesting because I've not played the game yet. Not many people have, unless you got out to E3 or you got out to the expo that was in the UK a few weeks back. So it's going to be very interesting. So is there going to be a Spider-Man PS4 crossover? Not really. They deny that. Is MODOK involved? Maybe. They've kind of denied it, but you have to think if AIM's behind everything, that MODOK is one of the best options they've got. He's not really known, and they could probably do some cool things with him and make him look pretty cool, but the game comes out we are still a long way away. So just because AIM are involved and we've got Taskmaster, essentially, doesn't really mean that MODOK is coming. As you know, there is like ties to Hydra, etc., I guess you could say. But we don't really know, so I'm just putting it out there. Is MODOK going to be the villain for this video game? Do you care? And are you more hyped for Spider-Man PS5 over the Marvel Avengers game? You've just got to consider the fact that the PS5 is coming very soon. Make sure to check out that YouTube channel I told you to go check out. It's coming very soon. Spider-Man PS5 is going to have a massive hype with that ending, you know, with that massive reveal at the end of Spider-Man PS4. I'm more hyped for Spider-Man PS5 than I am for the Marvel Avengers game, but I'm still very much looking forward to whatever the Marvel Avengers turns out to be. And I will be making sure to cover Spider-Man PS5 and Marvel Avengers on this channel more frequently the closer we get, and also Batman Arkham, whatever the new game's going to be called. So like always, guys, please like, subscribe, and comment, and I will catch you in another video very soon. Catch you later.